Hello there, Brick Fanatics. This, the Thieves of Tortuga, is one of the latest BrickLink Designer Program sets. It will go up for pre-order on the 10th of June 2025. If you don't get it then, within a very short window, it will be gone forever. You might have seen pictures of this and you might have thought to yourself, that's alright, that's a pretty good looking pirate village. I wouldn't mind having that in my Lego collection. Well, having had it hands-on and having had the opportunity to build it myself, put it together, and then bask in its luxurious glory, I can definitively say that no matter how good this thing might look in pictures, it is actually way better in real life. This thing is phenomenal. This set is easily in my top 5 sets that I have ever built. It is probably in my top 3 sets that I have ever built, and I need to sit on it for a while and consider it a bit more, but it might just be in the top 1 sets that I've ever built. That's how much I've enjoyed this thing. Full disclosure, of all of the classic LEGO themes, I think pirate is the theme that I have connected with the most over the years. I love space in many ways, I love castle in many ways, but the pirate theme has always drawn me in a little bit more, and so do bear that in mind here. I'm not completely unbiased with this. That said, you can probably tell from looking at the video footage, this thing is a cut above the rest. It is wonderfully detailed, it is filled with charm, little tiny Easter eggs and secrets to be discovered. It is so very brimming with life and character and joy. In many ways this feels less like a Lego set and more like an attraction you might see at Disneyland or another theme park. You can almost imagine this being part of the set dressing as your boat slowly slides along on Pirates of the Caribbean on its way to see that horrible ghoulish animatronic Johnny Depp. For those who don't know, the BrickLink Designer Program allows LEGO fans the opportunity to design their own sets, and a select number of these sets are put into production every few months. All of them are crowdfunded, so you have to pay for them in advance and pre-order them, and the LEGO Group will only make the number of sets that they need to fulfill those pre-orders, up to a total of 30,000 units. Some sets sell out entirely. In the case of castle sets, they sell out very quickly. Some don't quite make that 30,000 unit threshold. I'll be interested to see what happens with this one, because it is a very big and very expensive set. It costs £299.99 in the UK, $339.99 in the US, and €339.99 in parts of the EU. That's not a cheap LEGO set, and I think one of the big downsides to this build is that there's so much wonderful stuff in here that a lot of LEGO fans, either because of price or because of the pre-order system for this set, are just not going to be able to experience. To that end, I don't want to say that you should definitely rush out and buy this thing. There are going to be different personal circumstances for everybody, and if you genuinely just don't have this much money, that's fair enough. A lot of us don't at the moment. What I will say is that if you are the kind of person who is in a position to buy this set, I don't think you are going to be disappointed with it. There is so much in here that it is definitely worth that price tag. Quite aside from anything else, this doesn't feel like one LEGO set, it feels like 2 LEGO sets that have been connected together. It's a proper Hobbit's breakfast of a LEGO set, because you build one entire chunk, and then the set says, well, you've built half of me, yes, but what about the other half? These connect with a little spindly bridge that can be removed, and I am very grateful for that, because this thing is very wide, measuring 67 centimeters in length, which means that it's very difficult to find a shelf that's going to be long enough for it. But the thing is, if this were just one half of this build rather than being this whole big thing, I would have been perfectly happy just with that, because there's so much detail, so much nuance, and so much cool stuff in just half of this build that would feel like a really satisfying, really impressive LEGO build in and of itself. If this were only half the size, I would still be saying that it is in my top 5, top 3, and possibly top 1 of LEGO sets. This thing is 4,000 pieces. It's a big build, but what I really like about it is that you don't feel that as you're putting it together, because it's so many smaller buildings, and because they're not massive and they're not hugely fleshed out, although they do have a lot of cool fun details on the inside, and the building techniques are really fun for all of them, but because they're all relatively small, you build a little building and then you move on to something else and you do something completely different. And so unlike, say, a modular building, which can be a bit repetitive, especially if it's got some kind of facade design that requires you to put on like 14 of an element in one go, but unlike that kind of build, this one is so varied that you don't really notice that it's 4,000 pieces, because you're never doing the same thing twice. You're building a lot of different separate little areas. To that end, it kind of reminds me of Medieval Town Square, where it's got a bunch of different buildings. Many of them have got the same kind of thatched roof to them, so it would look very good on a shelf next to that kind of thing. But where this is a step above that is in the base, because it's got this brilliant, solid base underneath with all of these cobblestones elements that just look absolutely fantastic, and it means that this is really elevated above just a collection of different little buildings that will sit together into one big chunky display thing. In fact, if you look at this and you compare it to a bunch of other nostalgic throwback pirate sets that we've had in recent years, you'll definitely see a consistent architectural style, and I really love that. I love that this is going to integrate so very well into a bunch of different sets. The minifigures are not a particularly big draw of any BrickLink Designer Program set, simply because the fan designers that make these sets are working with a very limited palette of pieces. There's only a certain number of torsos and heads and legs, and only a certain number of ways that they can all be mix-matched together. With these ones, I do feel like the minifigures are a particularly nice selection here. They've been very well designed. Clearly a lot of thought has gone into how they've been put together and what kind of roles they have in the pirate village here. They're not necessarily going to be the biggest draw for this set. The big draw is the set itself and all of the design work, but the minifigures are very well designed as well. What is a lot of fun are all of the sneaky little tiny details here. There's so many things to discover as you look around the set. It does genuinely feel like it's got a theme park vibe to it, where exploring around really rewards you as you discover more interesting things hidden behind every corner. In case you can't tell, I'm a genuinely big fan of this Lego set. I want to reiterate my earlier point that if you can't get hold of this thing, either because it's already gone by the time you're watching this video, or because that price tag is just too high for you to be able to justify, I don't want you to feel like you've missed out on like the greatest thing ever, because as much fun as this is, it is a Lego set at the end of the day, and there are going to be other priorities in life. I just want to make it clear that if you think that this might be up your alley, it probably is, and if you do feel like you can spend the money for it, absolutely, I think you're going to have a great time and you're going to feel justified in that purchase. But what do you think of this Lego set? Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below, and do all of the rest of the YouTube things. Give this video a thumbs up, hit subscribe and the notification bell. If you are going to be making a Lego.com purchase in the near future, you can use the affiliate link, which is down in the description, or the QR code that is currently on screen, to go straight to the Lego website. We get a percentage of the sale, but it doesn't cost you a penny extra. Just helps keep the lights on at Brick Fanatics, helps to keep us making videos and content for the website. Speaking of which, you can go to brickfanatics.com for coverage of all things Lego, including the written review for this set, and you can sign up to our newsletter so that you never miss anything Lego related ever again. Thank you very much for watching, and have a wonderful day.